बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। अस्सलाम वालेकुम। आज के लेक्चर में मैं ख़ुद की अपनी लिखी हुई बुक रिव्यू कर रही हूँ, बल्कि रिव्यू क्या पूरी ही रीड करूँगी। और ये बहुत आसान लैंग्वेज में लिखी है। ये CSS के जो इस्लामियात का सिलेबस है और जो PMS के इस्लामियात का सिलेबस है, या किसी भी कम्पिटिटिव एग्ज़ाम या वन पेपर MCQs के लिए इस्लामियात के नोट्स जो हैं आपके लिए बहुत बेनिफिशियल होंगे। और ये राबिया चौहान एडवोकेट ने लिखी है, यानी कि खुद मैंने इसको कंपाइल किया है। और उसके अलावा अगर किसी को ये रिटर्न फॉर्म सॉफ्ट कॉपी में चाहिए या हार्ड में भी मिल जाएगी वैसे, तो वो इस नंबर पे कांटेक्ट कर सकते हैं। व्हाट्सएप, ये मेरा व्हाट्सएप नंबर है। और नोट्स के अलावा भी आपको किसी भी तरह की कोई लीगल कंसल्टेंसी भी चाहिए हो तो भी आप मेरे से कांटेक्ट कर सकते हैं। और किसी भी एग्ज़ाम की हेल्प के लिए, शेड्यूल मेकिंग के लिए, या कोई भी बल्कि किसी भी प्रॉब्लम के लिए भी कंसल्ट कर सकते हैं आप ना। मैं बहुत अच्छे मशवरे देती हूँ। अच्छा चलें, टाइम वेस्ट किए बगैर शुरू करते हैं। इसके कंटेंट्स नहीं पढ़ रही है। जो इस PMS का सिलेबस है उस दर से मैंने इसके कंटेंट्स लिए और इसके हर टॉपिक को सर्च किया है, और ये रिसर्च बेस्ड नॉलेज है और शॉर्ट नोट्स मैंने लिखे हैं, उसके पूरे के पूरे सिलेबस को कवर करते हैं। तो शुरू करते हैं। बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। इंट्रोडक्शन टू इस्लाम। अब इसका जो पहला टॉपिक है, एडवेंट ऑफ इस्लाम, फंडामेंटल्स ऑफ इस्लाम, concepts and their importance, deen and its religious impact on individual and society, spiritual, moral and social impact, basic beliefs, अमर बिल मारूफ एंड नही अनिल मुनकर। इन सारे टॉपिक्स को मैंने अलग अलग डिस्क्राइब किया। उर्दू नहीं करूँगी ट्रांसलेशन, क्योंकि इससे पहले मैं जितनी भी बुक्स कर चुकी हूँ तो वो काफ़ी सारी बुक्स की मैंने उर्दू ट्रांसलेशन भी की है और एक्सप्लेनेशन भी किया, लेकिन इस बुक की नहीं कर रही हूँ क्योंकि ये ऑलरेडी इट्स सेल्फ ही एक्सप्लेनेटरी बुक है, तो इसकी उर्दू ट्रांसलेशन की ज़रूरत नहीं है। तो जो उर्दू ट्रांसलेशन के लिए मैं एक अलग से बुक लिखूँगी और उसको कंपाइल करूँगी और फिर वो उसका भी लेक्चर अपलोड कर दूँगी बहुत जल्द इंशाल्लाह। फ़िलहाल के लिए ये इंग्लिश वालों के लिए जिन्होंने पेपर इंग्लिश में अटैम्प्ट करना है। इंट्रोडक्शन टू इस्लाम। Islam is a monotheistic religion that emerged in 7th century CE in the Arabian Peninsula. It was founded by Prophet Muhammad, who Muslims believed believe received revelations from God through the angel Jibril. The revelations are recorded in the Islamic holy book, the Quran. Islam is one of the world's major religions with over 1.8 billion followers, known as Muslims. Advent of Islam. The advent of Islam took place in the early 7th century when Prophet Muhammad received the first revelation from God. He began preaching a message of monotheism, social justice, and moral reform in the predominantly polytheistic society of Mecca. Initially, Islam faced opposition and persecution from the ruling elites of Mecca, but Muhammad's followers gradually grew in number. In 622 CE, faced with increasing hostility, Muhammad and his followers migrated to the city of Medina, an event known as the Hijrah. The migration marked the beginning of the Islamic calendar and was a turning point for Islam as it established a new Muslim community in Medina. Over time, the Muslim community gained strength and Islam spread throughout the Arabian Peninsula and beyond. Fundamentals of Islam. The fundamentals of Islam revolve around 5 pillars, which are the core principles and practices that Muslims adhere to. Shahada, the declaration of faith, which states there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. This declaration affirms belief in the oneness of God and the prophethood of Muhammad. Salah, the ritual prayer performed 5 times a day. Muslims face the Kaaba in Mecca while praying and engage in physical and spiritual acts of worship. Zakat, the obligation to give a portion of one's wealth to the poor and needy. Zakat is considered a form of purification and a means of achieving social justice. Som, yani roza, fasting during the month of Ramadan from dawn until sunset. Muslim abstain from food, drink, and other physical needs during this period, focusing on spiritual reflection and self-discipline. Hajj, the pilgrimage to the holy city of Makkah that every able-bodied and financially capable Muslim is required to undertake at least once in their lifetime. The Hajj involves a series of rituals and commemorates the actions of Prophet Abraham and his family. Next topic है जी concepts and in their importance. Islam encompasses various concepts that hold great importance for Muslims. Some of these concepts include Tawheed, the belief in the oneness of God, which is central to Islamic theology. Muslims believe in a single, all-powerful and compassionate God. Prophethood. Muslims believe that God sent prophets throughout history to guide humanity. Prophet Muhammad is considered the final and most significant prophet whose teachings are preserved in the Quran. Day of Judgment. Muslims believe in life after death and a day of judgment when all individuals will be held accountable for their actions in this world. Divine predestination. Muslims believe in the concept of divine predestination or qadar, which states that everything that happens is ultimately determined by God's will. Muslims believe in taking personal responsibility while recognizing God's sovereignty. Deen and its religious impact on individuals and society. Deen is an Arabic term that can be translated as way of life or religion. In the context of Islam, it refers to the comprehensive system of beliefs, practices and values that guide Muslims in all aspects of life. Islam is not merely a set of rituals but a holistic way of life that encompasses the spiritual, moral, and social dimensions. On an individual level, Islam offers a framework for personal spirituality, guiding Muslims in their relationship with God, their moral conduct, and their pursuit of righteousness. It emphasizes the importance, deen, and its religious impact on individual and society. Abjuddin, as mentioned earlier, refers to the comprehensive way of life in Islam. Its religious impact on individuals is profound as it provides a framework for spiritual growth, moral guidance, and social responsibility. Here are some key aspects of the religious impact of Islam. Spiritual impact. Islam emphasizes the importance of developing a deep connection with God through acts of worship such as prayer, fasting, and remembrance of God. It encourages individuals to seek spiritual purification and attain closeness to the divine. The spiritual impact of Islam helps individuals find purpose, meaning, and inner peace in their lives. Moral impact. Islam places great emphasis on ethical conduct and moral values. It provides a moral compass for individuals, outlining virtues such as honesty, kindness, justice, patience, and compassion. Muslims are encouraged to live with integrity, fulfill their obligations, and treat others with respect and fairness. The moral impact of Islam guides individuals in making ethical choices and living a righteous life. Social impact. Islam emphasizes the importance of community and social responsibility. Muslims are encouraged to actively contribute to society and promote the well being of others. Islam advocates for principles of justice, equality, and compassion in social interactions. It emphasizes the importance of family, kindness to neighbors, care for the poor and vulnerable, and maintaining harmonious relationships with the community. The social impact of Islam promotes a sense of unity, cooperation, and social cohesion. Basic beliefs. Islam is built upon a set of fundamental beliefs that form the foundation of the religion. These basic beliefs include monotheism. Muslims believe in the oneness of God, Allah. They believe that there is no deity worthy of worship except Allah, who is eternal, all power, and merciful. Prophethood. Muslims believe in the prophethood of Muhammad as the final messenger sent by God. They also believe in the previous prophets, including Adam, Noah, Abraham, Moses, and Jesus, among others. एक सेकंड प्लीज. अच्छा जी. Divine books. Muslims believe in the divine origin of various scriptures, including the Quran, which is considered the final and most important revelation from God. They also believe in the original scriptures revealed to earlier prophets, such as the Torah and the Gospel. तौरात मतलब और गॉस्पल होती है इंजील. Although Muslims believe these texts as has have undergone some changes over time, angels and after life. Muslims believe in the existence of angels as spiritual beings created by God. They also believe in the day of judgment, where individuals will be held accountable for their actions in this world, and the concept of heaven and hell as eternal one's deeds. Amar bil Maruf and Nahi Anil Munkar. Amar bil Maruf and Nahi Anil Munkar are Arabic phrases that translate to enjoining what is right and forbidding what is wrong. It is an important concept in Islam, emphasizing the responsibility of Muslims to promote good deeds and discourage evil actions in both personal and societal context. Amar bil Maruf refers to the duty of Muslims to encourage and promote acts of virtue, righteousness, and moral goodness. It involves advising and guiding others towards fulfilling their religious and moral obligations, engaging in acts of charity, maintaining family ties, and upholding justice, among other positive actions. Nahi Anil Munkar, on the other hand, refers to the obligation of Muslims to discourage and prevent acts that are considered sinful, harmful, or morally wrong. It involves speaking out against injustice, immorality, oppression, and any actions that go against Islamic teachings. These concepts emphasizes the importance of actively engaged in the promotion of good and prevention of the evil within society. Muslims are encouraged to be proactive in enjoining what is right and discouraging what is wrong. रॉन्ग लिखना भूल गई. अच्छा जी, आगे नेक्स्ट टॉपिक है सीरतुन नबी. प्रॉफिट मोहम्मद पीस बी अपॉन हिम एज अ मैसेंजर, रिफॉर्मर, एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर, एजुकेटर, डिप्लोमेट, स्टेट्समैन, मिलिट्री लीडर, ईटीसी. इन सारे टॉपिक्स को अभी अलग अलग डिस्क्राइब किया. सीरतुन नबी मीनिंग द लाइफ ऑफ द प्रॉफिट रेफर्स टू द comprehensive study of the life and character of Prophet Muhammad peace be upon him. Prophet Muhammad played various roles during his lifetime, and his search biography encompasses his quality as a messenger, reformer, administrator, educator, diplomat, statesman, and military leader. Here is a brief overview of these roles. Messenger. Prophet Muhammad is regarded as the final messenger of God in Islam. He received divine revelations from Allah through the angel Jibril and conveyed these messages to humanity. His primary mission was to guide people towards the worship of one God and the abandonment of idolatry and मतलब बुत परस्ती and the implementation of moral and ethical principles in their lives. Reformer. The society in which Prophet Muhammad lived was riddled with the social injustice, ignorance, and moral corruption. He brought about a profound reform by calling people to monotheism, social justice, and ethical behavior. His teachings transformed their lives of individuals and the society as a whole. Administrator. Prophet Muhammad demonstrated remarkable administrative skills in governing the Muslim community in Medina. He established a system of governance based on consultation, shura, and established principles of justice, equality, and accountability. He resolved disputes, formulated laws, and ensured the welfare of the community. Educator. Prophet Muhammad played a crucial role as an educator, imparting knowledge and wisdom to his companions and followers. He emphasized the importance of seeking knowledge and encouraged Muslims to pursue education in various fields. He promoted a holistic education that encompassed religious teachings, morality, science, and practical skills. Diplomat. Prophet Muhammad engaged in diplomatic efforts and negotiations with various tribes and communities. He established treaties and agreements to ensure peaceful coexistence and resolve conflicts. His diplomatic skills played a significant role in fostering alliances and maintaining stability in the region. Statesman. Prophet Muhammad exemplified statesmanship in his dealing with other nations and leaders. He established diplomatic relations with neighboring kingdoms and empires, maintained treaties, and ensured the protection of religious rights for different communities. Military leader Prophet Muhammad also assumed the role of a military leader when faced with external threats and defensive battles. He led the Muslim forces in several expeditions and battles, demonstrating strategic acumen, bravery, and military powers. Uh, However, it is important to note that his military actions were defensive in nature, aimed at safeguarding the Muslims community. It is crucial to understand that Prophet Muhammad's actions and leadership were guided by divine inspiration and aimed at establishing justice, spreading the message of Islam, and preserving the welfare of Muslim community and society at large. His search serves as a guiding light for Muslims, providing a model of excellence in various aspects of life. Early Islamic history up to Khulafai Rashidin. Early Islamic history up to Khulafai Rashidin, the rightly guided caliphs. The early Islamic history covers the period from the emergence of Islam in the 7th century to the reign of the four Khulafai Rashidin, the rightly guided caliphs who succeeded Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. His brief overview of his period. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam 572 632 CE. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, born in the city of Mecca, received the first revelations from God in 610 CE at the age of 40. Over the next 23 years, he continued to receive revelations and spread the message of Islam despite facing opposition and persecution. The Muslim community grew in numbers and strength. In 622 CE, Prophet Muhammad and his followers migrated to the city of Mecca, known as the Hijra, where he established a cohesive Islamic community. Prophet Muhammad continued to guide and lead the community until his passing in 632 CE. Abu Bakr 632 to 634 CE. Abu Bakr, a close companion of Muhammad, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was elected as the first caliph successor after his death. His reign focused on consolidating the Islamic State and defining it against internal and external threats. During his brief Khilafat Caliphate, the Muslim armies launched military expeditions known as the Rida Wars to address apostasy and restore order in the Arabian Peninsula. Umar ibn al-Khattab 634 to 644 CE. Umar, another prominent companion of Prophet Muhammad, succeeded Abu Bakr as the second caliph. His caliphate witnessed a significant expansion of the Islamic Empire. Muslim armies conquered large parts of the Byzantine and Persian empires, including territories in Syria, Egypt, Iraq, and Persia. Omar also implemented administrative reforms and established a fair and just governance system. Usman ibn Affan 644 to 656 CE. Usman, a close companion of Prophet Muhammad, became the third caliph. His Khilafat was marked by further territorial expansion and economic prosperity. Usman also oversaw the compilation of the Quran into a standardized written form. However, his policies and the growing influence of his family led to discontent among some factions, eventually resulting in his assassination. Ali ibn Abi Talib 656 to 661 CE. Ali, the cousin and son-in-law of the Prophet Muhammad, became the fourth caliph. His caliphate faced challenges from those who disputed his leadership and held grievances from previous events. This period witnessed the first Islamic civil war, known as the First Fitna, which ended with the Battle of Siffin. Despite his efforts to establish justice and unity and social reforms, Ali's caliphate ended with his assassination in 661 CE. The period of Khulafai Rashidin is highly significant in Islamic history as it is laid down the foundation for the political, Social and administrative structures of the Islamic State. The caliphs during his era sought to govern based on the principles of justice, consultation, and adherence to Islamic teachings. They played a crucial role in spreading Islam and establishing its authority in the Arabian Peninsula and beyond. Human rights in Islam, including status of women, rights of minorities. Islam places great emphasis on the concept of human rights, uh, recognizing the inherent dignity and worth of every individual regardless of their race, gender, or social status. Islamic teachings encompass a comprehensive framework for the protection and promotion of human rights. Here are some key aspects of human rights in Islam, including the status of women and the rights of minorities. Equality and justice. Islam teaches that all human beings are equal in the sight of God, and no person is inherently superior to another based on race, nationality, or social standing. The Quran states, O mankind, indeed we have created you from male and female and made you peoples and tribes, that you may know one another. Indeed, the most noble of you in the sight of Allah is the most righteous of you. Quran 49 13. Islam emphasizes the importance of justice, fairness, and equal treatment for all individuals. Status of women. Islam grants women fundamental rights and recognizes their equal spiritual and moral worth. Women have the right to education, ownership, inheritance, and participation in social, economic, and political affairs. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, the best among you are those who are best to their wives. However, cultural practices and societal norms have sometimes deviated from the teachings of Islam, leading to the mistreatment or marginalization of women in certain societies. It is important to distinguish between cultural practices and Islamic principles when discussing the status of women in different contexts. Protection of life and dignity. Islam places a strong emphasis on the sanctity of life and the protection of human dignity. The Quran states, whoever kills a soul, unless for a soul or for corruption done in the hand, it is as if he had slain mankind entirely, and whoever saves one, it is as if he had saved mankind entirely. Quran 5:32. Islam prohibits murder, oppression, and the violation of individual rights. The physical and psychological well being of every individual is considered sacred in Islamic teachings. Rights of minorities. Islam upholds the rights of religious and ethnic minorities within an Islamic state. The Quran promotes religious tolerance and freedom of belief, stating there is no compulsion in religion. Quran 2:256. मतलब surah number 2 और ayat number 256. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, established treaties and charters guaranteeing the rights and protection of non-Muslim minorities, such as Charter of Medina. Islamic law, known as Sharia, recognizes the rights of non-Muslims to practice their own faith, maintain their places of worship, and have their personal and communal affairs governed by their own religious laws. It is important to note that while Islam provides a framework for human rights, the implementation and interpretation of these rights may vary across different societies and historical contexts. Islamic teachings promote justice, compassion, and respect for all individuals, and it is the responsibility of Muslims to uphold and advocate for human rights within their communities and societies. Islam and the world. Impact on the West and vice versa. Role in the modern world. Contemporary challenges for the Muslim world and Muslim minorities in the world. Islam and the world. Impact on the West and vice versa. Islam has had a significant impact on the West throughout history and vice versa. Here are some key aspects of this interaction. Intellectual and cultural exchange. During the Islamic Golden Age, 88th to 14th century, Muslim scholars made significant contributions to various fields, including science, mathematics, medicine, philosophy, and literature. These advancements were later transmitted to the West, influencing the Renaissance and the European Enlightenment. Islamic scholars preserved and translated Greek, Roman, and Persian works, which had a profound impact on Western intellectual development. Trade and commerce. Islamic civilization played a vital role in the facilitation of trade and exchange between the East and West. Muslim merchants established extensive trade networks connecting Europe, Africa, and Asia. This trade not only contributed to economic growth but also facilitated the transfer of knowledge, ideas, and cultural practices between different civilizations. European colonialism and its impacts. The colonization of many Muslim majority regions by European powers during the 18th and 19th century had a lasting impact on the Muslim world. This period of colonial rule had political, social, and economic consequences, including the imposition of Western political system, cultural assimilation, and exploitation of resources. These legacies continue to shape the relationship between the Muslim world and the West, globalization, and a cultural exchange. In the modern era, increased globalization and technological advancement have facilitated a great exchange of ideas, goods, and people between the Muslim world and the West. This has led to the dissemination of Western cultural influences in Muslim majority countries, as well as the spread of Islamic ideas and practices in Western societies. Role in the Muslim modern world. Islam continues to play a significant role in the modern world. Here are some key aspects. Religion and identity. Islam serves as a source of spiritual guidance and identity for over 1.8 billion Muslims worldwide. It provides a more framework, principles, sorry, principles of social justice and personal guidance for individuals in their daily lives, political and social movements. Islam has been a driving force behind various political and social movements, both within Muslim majority countries and among Muslim communities. In the diaspora, Islamic political movements have emerged advocating for social justice, demarcating democratic governance, and the application of Islamic principles in public life. Global Muslim unity community. Ummah. Islam unites Muslims globally through a shared faith and sense of community. The concept of the Ummah, global Muslim community, promotes solidarity, mutual support, and cooperation among Muslims, transcending national and ethnic boundaries. Contemporary challenges for the Muslim world and the Muslim minorities. Muslim communities face several challenges in the contemporary world, both within Muslim majority countries and as minorities in other societies. Some of these challenges include political instability and conflicts. Many Muslim majority countries experience political instability, conflicts, and civil wars, leading to humanitarian crises and socio-economic challenges. These issues can hinder development, disrupt social cohesion, and impact the well being of Muslim populations. Extremism and terrorism. The rise of extremist ideologies and acts of terrorism committed in the name of Islam pose significant challenges. These extremist movements distort Islamic teachings, leading to security concerns, Islamophobia, and stigmatization of Muslims. Islamophobia and discrimination. Muslim communities, both in Muslim majority countries and as minorities in the West, face Islamophobia and discrimination. Prejudice, stereotypes, and discriminatory policies can marginalize and limit opportunities for Muslims, hindering their social integration and well-being. Socio-economic development. Muslim majority countries face various socio-economic challenges, including poverty, unemployment, lack of access to education and healthcare, and economic disparities. Addressing these challenges is essential for contemporary challenges for the Muslim world and Muslim minorities in the world. Contemporary challenges for the Muslim world and Muslim minorities in the world include Islamophobia and discrimination. Muslim faces discrimination and Islamophobia in various parts of the world. Prejudices, stereotypes, and negative portrayals of Islam can lead marginalized social exclusion and limited opportunities for Muslims in areas such as employment, education, and housing. Extremism and terrorism. Extremism ideology. Extremist ideologies and acts of terrorism committed in the name of Islam pose significant challenges for the Muslim communities. Such acts not only result in loss of life and destruction but also lead to increased suspicion and scrutiny of Muslim mankind, them vulnerable to collect blame and Islamophobic blackish political instability and conflicts. Several Muslim majority countries experience political instability, conflicts, and civil war. These situations create humanitarian crisis, displacement, and instability, impacting the well being and livelihood of Muslim populations. The exacerbating regional tensions, socio-economic development. Muslim majority countries often face socio-economic challenges including poverty, unemployment, lack of access to quality education and healthcare, and economic disparities. These factors can hinder socio-economic development and contribute to social inequalities within Muslim majority societies. Governance and human rights. Some Muslim majority countries struggle with issues related to governance, human rights, and the rule of law. Lack of transparency, corruption, restrictions on freedom of expression and assembly, and limitation on civil liberties can hinder progress and undermine social cohesion within these societies. Gender equality and women rights. Achieving gender equality and ensuring women's rights remain ongoing challenges within Muslim majority countries. Issues such as discriminatory laws and practices, limited access to education and employment opportunities, and gender based violence persist in some societies. Cultural and religious identity. Muslim minorities in non Muslim majority countries often face challenges related to preserving their cultural and religious identity. Assimilation pressures, cultural clashes, and religious discrimination can impact their sense of belonging, integration, and freedom to practice their faith. Addressing these challenges requires collective efforts from governments, civil society and organizations, religious leaders, and the international community. Promoting interfaith dialogue, combating Islamophobia, advocating for human rights and social injustice, fostering economic development, and encouraging inclusive governance are essential for creating more harmonious and equitable world for Muslim communities and Muslim minorities. आगे है जी इस्लामिक कोड ऑफ लाइफ salient features of Islamic socio-political system. Islamic socio-political system encompasses various principles and features that guide the functioning of society. Here are some salient features. Sharia. The Islamic socio-political system is based on the principles of Sharia, which is derived from the Quran and the teachings and practices of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Sharia provides guidance on matters of law, governance, ethics, morality, and personal conduct. Divine sovereignty. Islam recognizes the sovereignty of Allah, God, as the ultimate authority. The principles and laws of the socio-political system are based on the belief that all power and authority belong to God alone, and humans are entrusted with the responsibility of upholding justice and implementing his laws. Justice and equality. Islam emphasizes the principles of justice and equality. The Islamic socio-political system aims to establish a just society where all individuals are treated fairly and equitably, regardless of their social status, wealth, race, or gender. The rights and responsibilities of individuals are protected, and the rule of law is upheld. Consultative decision making. The Islamic socio-political system encourages consultation, shura, and consensus building in decision-making process. This promotes inclusivity, participation, and representation of diverse opinions and perspectives in governance. Accountability and good governance. Islamic principles emphasize the importance of accountability and good governance. Leaders and rulers are expected to be just, transparent, and responsible in their actions and decisions. They are accountable to both God and the people they govern. Social welfare and economic justice. Islamic socio-political system promotes social welfare and economic justice. It emphasizes the principles of charity, zakat, obligatory alms, and the concept of wealth distribution to ensure the welfare of the entire society, particularly the less fortunate. Islam encourages economic activities that are based on ethical and fair practices. Protection of individuals. The Islamic socio-political system uphold the protection of the individual rights, including freedom of belief, expressions, and conscience या conscience जिसे कहते हैं. It promotes the dignity, privacy, and personal freedoms of individuals as long as they do not infringe upon the rights of others or violate Islamic principles. And autonomy of local communities. Islam recognizes the autonomy and self-governance of local communities within the border or framework of the Islamic socio-political system. This allows for flexibility and adaptation to local customs and practices as long as they do not contradict fundamental Islamic principles. It is important to note that the interpretation and implementation of these features may vary in different societies and historical contexts. The Islamic socio-political system provides a framework for governance and social order, aiming to establish a just and harmonious society guided by Islamic principles. Islamic code of life. Salient features of Islamic economic system. The Islamic economic system is guided by the principles of Islam, which provide a framework for economic activities that promote social welfare, justice, and ethical conduct. Here are some salient features of the Islamic economic system: justice and equity. The Islamic economic system emphasizes the principles of justice and equity in economic transactions. It prohibits exploitative practices such as usury, riba, and unjust accumulation of wealth. The distribution of wealth and resources should be fair, ensuring that the needs of the less fortunate are met. Prohibition of interest riba. Islam prohibits the changing or payment of interest riba on loans and financial transactions. Instead, Islamic finance promotes profit sharing arrangements, risk sharing partnership, and ethical investment practices that align with the principles of fairness and avoiding exploitation. Ethical business practices. Islamic economics emphasizes the ethical conduct in business transactions. Honesty, transparency, and fairness are encouraged, while practices such as fraud, deceit, and exploitation are prohibited. Islamic ethics promote responsible entrepreneurship and discourage unethical practices that harm individuals, society, or the environment. Wealth redistribution. The Islamic economic system advocates for the redistribution of wealth to ensure social welfare and reduce inequality. One of the means of wealth redistribution is through the obligatory giving of charity known as zakat. Zakat is a prescribed percentage of a person's wealth that is distributed to the poor and the needy, promoting social solidarity and reducing poverty. Prohibition of hoarding and speculations. Islam discourages hoarding and speculative activities that can disrupt the stability of economy and harm society. The Islamic economic system promotes productive investment and discourages activities that create artificial scarcity or manipulate manipulate prices for personal gain. Sustainable and responsible resource management. Islam emphasizes responsible source management and stewardship of the environment. Stewardship पता नहीं क्या लफ्ज़ है सॉरी. Environment. Islamic principles encourage sustainable economic practices that minimize waste, protect natural resources, and promote sustainable development for the benefit of current and future generations. Cooperation and mutual assistance. The Islamic economic system encourages cooperation, mutual assistance, and the concept of collective responsibility. Islamic teachings promote the establishment of economic system and institutions that foster solidarity, support and the vulnerable, and promote economic development for the benefit of society as a whole. It is important to note that the implementation of economic system may vary in different contexts and interpretations. Islamic economics provides a framework for economic activities that prioritize injustice, ethics, and social welfare, aiming to create an economic system that is in line with Islamic principles and promotes the well being of individuals and society as a whole. अच्छा जी, आगे है इस्लामिक कोड ऑफ लाइफ, सेवन फीचर्स ऑफ इस्लामिक जुडिशियल सिस्टम. The Islamic judicial system, also known as the Sharia-based judicial system, is guided by principles of Islamic law. Sharia, it provides a framework for administering justice and resolving disputes in accordance with Islamic principles. Here are some salient features of Islamic judicial system. Divine law. The Islamic judicial system is based on the belief that Sharia is derived from divine sources, including the Quran, the Holy Book of Islam, and the teachings and practice of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In Islamic jurists, known as scholars or judges, interpret and apply these sources through issue of law and justice. Jurisprudential school. Islamic law encompasses multiple jurisprudential school of thought, each with its own interpretations and methodologies. These schools provide guidance and legal opinions on various matters, offering a diversity of legal perspectives within the Islamic judicial system. Dual role of judges. Islamic judges have a dual role as legal experts and moral guides. They are responsible for applying the law to specific cases, ensuring justice and fairness. In addition to their legal expertise, judges may also provide religious guidance and counsel to litigants, helping them understand the ethical and moral dimensions of their disputes. Adversarial and inquisitorial method. The Islamic judicial system employs a combination of adversarial and inquisitorial method. Adversarial proceedings involve parties presenting their arguments and evidence, while judges play a neutral role in adjudicating the dispute. Inquisitorial proceedings allow judges to actively question and gather evidence to establish the truth and ensure justice. Consensus and precedents. The Islamic judicial system considers the principles of consensus, ijma, and precedence qiyas in legal decision making. Consensus refers to the agreement of scholars on certain legal matters, while precedence involves deriving legal rulings from established precedents and analogical reasoning. Mediation and arbitration. Islamic law encourages mediation and arbitration as alternative dispute resolution methods. Parties involved in a dispute may seek mediation to find a mutually acceptable resolution with the help of a neutral mediator. Arbitration allows for the resolution of disputes through the decision of the third party arbitrator or panel of arbitrators. Preservation of rights and fairness. The Islamic judicial system places a strong emphasis on preserving individual rights and ensuring fairness in legal proceedings. Defendants are presumed innocent until proven guilty, and the burden of proof lies with the accuser. Due process, evidence based judgment, and the right to legal representation are integral to the Islamic judicial system. Restorative justice and reconciliation. Islamic law promotes the principles of restorative justice and reconciliation in cases of wrongdoing. The Islamic judicial system encourages the resolution of dispute through reconciliation, forgiveness, and the payment of compensation to the affected party, as opposed to solely focusing on punitive measures. It is important to note that the implementation of the Islamic judicial system may vary in different contexts and interpretations. The Islamic judicial system aims to ensure justice, fairness, and the application of the Islamic principles in the administration of law and the resolution of disputes. अच्छा जी, Again, Islamic Code of Life, salient features of Islamic administrative system. The Islamic administrative system encompasses principles and features that guide the functioning of governance and public administration based on Islamic principles. Here are some salient features of Islamic administrative system: justice and accountability. The Islamic administrative system emphasizes the justice and accountability in governance. Administrators and public officials are expected to act justly, fairly, and transparently in their decision making and execution of policies. They are accountable to both the people and to God for their actions. Consultation and participation. The Islamic administrative system promotes consultation, shura, and participation in decision making process. Administrators are encouraged to seek the opinions and input of stakeholders, experts, and the affected community in formulating policies and making important decisions. This promotes inclusivity and ensures that the governance reflects the needs and aspirations of the people. Public welfare and social justice. The Islamic administrative system prioritizes the welfare and well-being of public. Administrators are responsible for creating policies and implementing programs that promote social justice, reduce poverty, provide basic services, and ensure the overall welfare of the society. Economic policies are designed to minimize inequality and address the needs of the disadvantaged. Efficiency and effectiveness. The Islamic administrative system emphasizes the importance of efficient and effective governance. Administrators are encouraged to adopt best practices, utilize resources wisely, and strive for excellence in the delivery of public services. The principles of accountability and meritocracy are applied to ensure the efficiency of the administrative system. Rule of law. The Islamic administrative system upholds the rule of law as a fundamental principle. Laws and regulations are implemented consistently and impartially, and the rights of individuals are protected. Administrators are expected to adhere to the law and ensure its fair and just application in all administrative matters. Ethical conduct and public services. Islamic principles emphasizes ethical conduct in public administration. Administrators are expected to exhibit integrity, honesty, and sincerity in their duties. They are encouraged to view their role as a form of public service to and to prioritize and interest of the people over personal gain. Decentralization and the local autonomy. The Islamic administrative system recognizes the importance of decentralization and local autonomy. Decision making and governance are not solely concentrated at the central level but are delegated to local authorities to ensure efficient and effective administration that addresses local needs and priorities. Public engagement and accountability. The Islamic administrative system promotes public engagement and accountability. Administrators are accountable to the people they serve and are required to be responsive to their needs and concerns. Transparency, public feedback mechanism for redress and complaint handling are essential components of the Islamic administrative system. It is important to note that the implementation and the interpretation of the Islamic administrative system may vary in different contexts and interpretations. The Islamic administrative system provides a framework for the governance and that is guided by Islamic principles of justice, accountability, public welfare, and ethical conduct. Jihad and its forms. Yeah, last topic. Jihad is a concept in Islam that is often misunderstood. It is important to note that jihad has multiple meanings and can be categorized into different forms. Here are the main forms of jihad and jihad in Islam. Jihad of self, jihad nafs. This form of jihad refers to the inner struggle or self-discipline to overcome personal shortcomings, desires, and temptations in order to attain spiritual growth and adhere to the teachings of Islam. Involves self-reflection, self-control, and striving to become a better person. Jihad of knowledge, jihad ilm. This form of jihad refers to pursuit of knowledge and intellectual development in order to gain a deeper understanding of Islam and promote in teachings. It involves acquiring knowledge, studying the Quran and Hadith, and engaging in scholarly activities to spread accurate information about Islam. Jihad of speech, jihad al call. This form of jihad refers to the use of speech and communication to convey the message of Islam, promote truth, and refute falsehood. It involves engaging in peaceful dialogue, spreading awareness about Islam, and defending the faith through logical arguments and persuasion. Jihad of wealth, jihad al mal. This form of jihad refers to the spending of one's wealth for charitable purposes and for the betterment of society. It involves giving in charity, supporting the needy, and contributing to projects and initiatives that serve the common good. Jihad of defense, jihad al defense. This form of jihad refers to self defense and the defense of the Muslim community in the face of aggression or oppression. It involves defending oneself, family, and community against physical harm or attacks. However, it is important to note that Islamic teaching strictly prohibit the targeting of innocent civilians or engaging in acts of terrorism. It is crucial to understand that jihad, in its true essence, emphasizes striving and exerting effort in various aspects of life. The most emphasized forms of jihad in Islam are that jihad of self and the jihad of knowledge, which focus on personal development, spiritual growth, and seeking knowledge. The concept of jihad should be understood within the broader context of peace, justice, and ethical teachings of Islam. यहाँ पर मैं एक बात कहना, ये टॉपिक ख़त्म हो गया सारे, और ये चूँकि मैंने एक शॉर्ट नोट्स के तौर पर लिखी है, उसके अलावा ये पेपर पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से सिर्फ आपको कंसेप्ट देने के लिए है कि जिसने जो अभी अगर कुछ लोग CSS की तैयारी या PMS की तैयारी स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं तो उनको एक पूरे सिलेबस का ओवरव्यू हो जाए कि उन्होंने एक्चुअल में क्या क्या चीज़ें पढ़नी है इसमें, और जो लोग कर चुके हैं तो उनका रिवीजन हो जाएगी। तो बाकी जो है पूरी तैयारी जो ज़ाहिर है हर किसी ने खुद करनी होती है, और उसके अलावा हर टॉपिक में इसमें कुछ टॉपिक्स पर लिखी हुई थी आयात मेंशन है, लेकिन कुछ टॉपिक्स पर नहीं है। तो आपने हर टॉपिक में इस्लामियात के पेपर में स्पेशली, चाहे वो CSS का PMS का या कोई भी है, तो उसमें जो वो आयात है, कुरानिक आयात या हदीस का रेफरेंस लाजमी देना होता है। तो वो जो है इसी बुक का मैं अपडेट करूँगी नेक्स्ट एडिशन में, तो फिर मैं वो बाकी चीज़ें मेंशन कर दूँगी, क्योंकि फ़िलहाल शॉर्ट नोट्स में थी, तो वो शॉर्ट नोट के हवाले से हर टॉपिक का एक नोट ही बनाया है। बाकी ये डॉक्यूमेंट ख़त्म हो गया, फिर मिलते हैं किसी और बुक के पास। साथ रिमेंबर इन प्रेयर्स रिगार्ड्स राबिया चौहान एडवोकेट। थैंक यू फॉर लिसनिंग। अल्लाह हाफिज़।